Okay, so let's take a look at the review yesterday's price action. Let's skinny this down into the 24-hour chart. We'll look at the previous 24 hours. This is the whole trading day, just so we can understand how the system works and what we're looking for. So yesterday, if you want to play yesterday's video, we did a video on 821, and when I did the video, it was at 8:30 in the morning, and we were talking about how we're looking for a buy setup to come inside of the buy zone because we were in an uptrend. So if you look at our trend filter, this is our trend filter that we use. This is our standard 5438 zone. This is our trend zone. All right, so this zone has been back tested for the past 30 plus years as the best zone on the S&P for trend, according to our back test. And so we know if it's green, the market's in an uptrend. If it's red, we're looking for the market to be in a downtrend. And then we're looking for retracements. So we have a couple ways to do this. If you have been watching the videos or being in the trade room, you understand that we have a certain buy point or sell point in the market, and that's inside of this trend zone. So what we found is the market in all various markets, whether it be the S&P, the NASDAQ futures, or if the crude oil or gold or what have you, or the Forex, or even stocks, even in crypto markets, it loves to reverse inside of this zone. So what we do is we have a program to have an indicator and strategy inside of these zones. So if price gets inside of the zone like it did here, and like it did here yesterday, we had 3 trade setups yesterday on the entire session. And then we had one here at the close. I mean, at noon, sorry. I typed this one in actually yesterday. If you look at the member, hey, Russ, good morning. If you look at what I typed in, I said buy setup, next buy setup coming up. I put that in there as we started retracing. I typed it in the room right at that retracement right there when it's red. And we did get it, and we rallied into the close. But what we need to do, we had 3 setups yesterday. 1, 2, 3 inside of the zone. Now what happens is if you get a reversal inside that zone, you can play it a couple ways. So you can play it as an indicator. So if you use it as an indicator, it will turn, this yellow bar candle will come up and it will close, and you'll get a green buy arrow right below it when you get a setup. All right, so that long was at 65.60 and it got as high as 65.95. It rallied 35 S&P points. So that's because it came inside of the trend zone and it did not close outside the trend zone. If it closes outside the trend zone by 1 candle, this yellow reversal candle will not fire. You will get an audible alert. I educate traders to put it on a wave 4 so it beeps. It'll give you a nice beep when you get a yellow trigger to pull in. And you can, that way you can follow, if you're following various markets, you can use an audible alert to let you know. Consequently, this is exactly where the strategy, we have a strategy with this also, a strategy will fill, and it can manage the position for you. It will fill at that level. So right at that close of that candle, that's where it's going to fill. This is a 1, we show in the room, we're showing a Unirenko 1135. So that means the reversal is 35 ticks. We're not going to get a reversal. It can come down the zone. It's not going to reverse until we're up 35 ticks. So some members that are outside this room that they don't even trade the S&P. Let's say they trade crude oil or gold or what have you. They want to get a smaller Renko reversal. They can do that. You can use a 1120, 20 tick reversal, 1125, or etc. So you can, what we don't want to do is we don't want to get too low because we want to confirm that we're getting a possible reversal outside the zone. All right, so that's how you're going to get it. So yesterday, if we skinny that down then and we look at the entire session, we had 3 buy setups right there. One at 2:30 in the morning. That was 30 minutes before. I always tell London traders or European traders, the system works really, really well right before the London Open at 3 a.m. in the morning. And we got it a half hour before the London Open and end up rallying pretty good on the S&P yesterday. London Open, this one actually fired at 9:47. My time of day trade, I've talked about this ever since we opened the trade room. Right around that 9:40 plus or minus 5, 6, 7 minutes, you get a nice trade right after the New York Open. And they like to follow through. That happened at 9:47, our time of day trade. And then we had one that happened at noon yesterday. I typed this in the room before it occurred. I said the next buy setup is coming up into the trade zone, and it fired up and it rallied into the close. So we had 3 total signals there. Now, you see these little dashed levels, these are zones. So this is what's called my 25 Simrinko proprietary zone. What that means is that if you are a green trend, if the trend is up, if we get into that zone, let's say we break the trend zone, that means it won't give a yellow trigger to get us in on that. But let's say it comes down to the trend zone, inside the trend zone, and consequently, it's inside of these dashed levels. These dashed levels are my 25 buy zone. That's where the market likes to reverse. This is called confluence. So this was a confluence buy because it's a stack level. What a stack level is you got here, you got your trend zone. It came down inside of the trend zone and reversed. These are very, very accurate, so they should reverse right back out of the trend zone. But this is what's called confluence because not only are we getting reversal out of the trend zone, we're down inside the 25 buy zone. So this is our 25 buy zone level. So for example, here, we could be setting up for a possible short live right now in the S&P. Because we know that if we break the trend zone and we retest the trend zone like it's doing right now, if this reverses right now and closes, now we're using a 1-1-35, so a 35 tick reversal now, this candle would turn yellow and would have a sell set up. And it would be confluence because we're inside of the sell dash levels. So we're looking at a confluence possible sell right now and also a possible reversal that could be happening currently in the S&P. So just like yesterday, that's confluence right there. So you can have these standalone by themselves where you just come down inside of the zone like this, and this one rallied 35 S&P point potential. Or you could have it by itself where you come down inside of just the buy zone and it reverses. It just won't turn yellow because it's not inside of the trend zone. But the best trade you're going to get is if you're inside of the trend zone and you're inside of the retracement buy level. So I like to skinny it down for 24 hours because then you can see how often these come up. Now, if you go a lower Renko size, you're going to get more buy and sell signals, right? This is a 1-1-35 we use. We had 3 signals yesterday. We had the day before. We had, let's see, on Wednesday, 1, 2 there. We had two big shorts. Day before that, we had 1, 2. Day before that, 1, 2, and so on. So you get about, on the 1-1-35, you get about 2 to 3 trades. In a very volatile session, you may get 3 to 5 trades a session. So if you do lower it, what I'm saying is, let's say we lower this. So let's watch this real quick. And let's put this on. Let's just put up the NASDAQ micros real quick. And I'll show you it's the same type of methodology, though. We're looking for the same type of methodology. We'll use a 1-1-35 on the micros real quick just to show you what we're looking at. So here's the last buy signal we had on the micros. We had at 5:40 this morning. This is almost a confluence trade, but you can see this one just about made the team right there also. It's inside, and this one just made a scotch. If you want to widen these out a little bit, you can do that. So this is a 54-38 zone. Let's say you want to go a 62-28 zone. What that would do is it would give more buy signals on your strategy and your indicator. This would widen out a little bit. The zone would widen out a little bit here. It would widen out a little bit here, and you would have got 2 buy signals right there and right there inside the zone also with trend. So it's the same on all markets, right? Here's a big short this morning at 4 o'clock in the morning. So this is the S&P trades that it had this morning. I mean, I'm sorry, the NASDAQ micros today. Real big trade there at 354, 4 o'clock this morning, 407, 450. But you can see it's the same methodology. You're getting inside of the trend zone reversing. Here's Confluence. This is the big trade. It started the big move this morning on the NASDAQ futures to the downside. That's Confluence because it's inside of my red trend zone, and consequently, it's right there on that. So, you know, even when you trade other markets, it's the same exact methodology. And this is a 1-135, 1-135 on the NASDAQ futures. So you can trade the NASDAQ the same way as you can trade the S&P and so on based upon your reversal zones and so on. So you do the same thing. And the same thing if you go to whatever market you look at. I mean, if you're looking at crude oil, you know, the same way on crude, where's my S&P? You know, whatever markets you want to look at, it's the same type of methodology. Okay. So we got news coming out. I believe news comes out, what, at 10 o'clock today? We got news at 10. We're looking for a sell setup right now. So if this pulls in right here, guys and gals, if this pulls in, we may have a trade setup coming right now. This is Confluence coming right now. This would have to go 35 ticks down. And if it does that, you're going to see a yellow trigger form. So it'd have to come down to here, right there. It looks like it's going to pull in at 65.81. So we get down to 65.81. We're going to have a short signal come up here on the S&P here shortly. That'd be a 35 tick reversal. Like I said, some traders don't like that 35 tick. You can go a smaller Renko. Here's our deep retracements we look at today. This is what our 100 and our 200. Love these because when they do hit, you get a possible V bottom or V top or break retest. Same methodology. You got to get inside of the trend zones and reverse. You know, let the algo do the work for you. But we leave that guy right up here at the top on our deep zone retracement. This is our standard 25 zone. Is trying to reverse right now, and then here's our deeper ones. We'll keep an eye on. They only come up a couple times during the day. Sometimes it won't even come up, but when they come up, we're looking for extended moves. We've done a lot of videos on those where you can see the S&P possibly move 10, 20, 30, 40. We had one video we just did that moved almost 60 S&P points from that inflection point. So these are really nice liquidity zones. These are areas where they like to buy. These are where the order blocks will like to buy these zones, or break retest, sell these zones, and get the nice liquidity grab for a continuation. Okay, so we got a sell setup coming up right now.